friends, this is Kate. I'm in the studio today and I wanted to bring a couple of projects that I've finished and I thought you might enjoy seeing them. One of them I had just started off and I thought I would show it to you now that it's finished. So last time I had this beginnings of a little pouch for Mother's Day. It says Love You Mom on it. It has a vintage linen here, and then I had brought in a couple little doilies and other pieces for this little flower. And then in the end, I put this little closure on it with some lace to go around it. I lined it with this really fun pop of yellow fabric and then set some lace in just to bring the tone down a little bit. This is a vintage collar, a little bit of that. And then I topped it with a tiny piece of ribbon, of lace. I have a bit of this left. Actually, I have quite a bit of it. And it's perfect for, it was just plain band and I had stitched it down. And so rather than featuring the stitches, I thought this lace went perfectly. Isn't that fun? So I added onto it this little silver button it's like a bangle that came off of another piece. I'm always looking for jewelry that might even be broken. In fact, recently at an estate sale, I picked up a whole bunch of broken jewelry and knickknacks. Actually, I took these off of some necklaces, some other things. Some of these are beads. Here's a poor little broken jump ring. Might use that, but I've got some new ones that I might use instead. These two are rings. I don't know. Kate in the Nest, what do you think? Shall I wear them? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll have to keep them here and you can have something fun to look at. I thought I could just attach these to a piece and that would be kind of fun. So we've got those. This is an earring, but there's only one of them. But look how pretty these little pieces are. I thought that could make a fun little dangle on something. So, you know, when you're looking at I think I actually got these at Goodwill. This was a pair of clip-on earrings, which are also easy to deal with. I could sew these on to something. One of the clips is broken, but I could stitch that back down. Lots of options. And then I loved all these sparkly pieces. Those came off, I think they were on, these were all on necklaces. I love these blue beads too. Aren't those pretty? So anyway, all of this came off a variety of broken jewelry that they had in a bag for a couple of dollars. And so they will find their way onto lots of things. And in the same way, this little closure was a piece, it was a necklace. That's right. There were 4 of these pieces on this necklace. And I mean, each one will make for a great little closure, or I can put it on as a decorative embellishment. So this is the way that the little Mother's Day pouch turned out. And I really like it. I'm going to take it into my little shop tomorrow morning. I think it's super cute. Then, okay, I came up with one more Mother's Day piece that I worked on this week. It was one of those weeks where I was traveling, and so I didn't have the chance to show you as I was doing this. But hopefully you can just imagine that I had set out a whole bunch of vintage linens, and I took them with me on my trip. This actually took me a couple of days, but I was in this long meeting with some people that it was pretty conversational. And so in between things, I did not feel anything bad about stitching away during my meeting. And they were interested in what I was doing, so it was fine. So imagine this was part of a little doily, and look, or like a runner. This has Blossom Time. It has the pattern written on here because I think somebody could have stitched along here and then cut this off, but they didn't. And I love that they didn't, because we've got the model number, we've got chair back. So this was to go over the back of a chair, you know, and then you'd have like doilies on the arms too. So this is for the back of the chair, called Blossom Time, made in the USA by Wonder. think this is Wonder Art. Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, Wonder Art. But anyway, this was chair back, beautifully stitched. I just love it. And I liked taking this part of it because folded over, it makes such a pretty front and back to this little book. Now, often when you fold it around something when you're done, you may end up needing more, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so again, I used some broken jewelry as a beautiful little petally closure on it. I really like it. But of course, what makes it special for Mother's Day, I stitched this little piece that says, "Love you, Mom." And as you saw in one of my earlier videos, I just print these on my inkjet printer. Then I spray them down with a little bit of fixative like this. Fabric Craft Water Shield. That keeps it from running if it ever got wet. And yeah, that's the cover. I really love how this turned out. Sometimes I run into people who say, I have these vintage fabrics and I don't know what to do with them. Well, a fabric journal is such a simple and beautiful way to treasure those little pieces. On the inside front cover, I stitched this little doily that I loved. And I decided that this would have some bright colors in it. So I went with an aqua and yellow, just stitched it on. And again, this is a little pocket. I could put journal cards in here. I could just leave it blank. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to put in a couple of cards so people get an idea of what they can do. And then again, I love the vibrant fabric here. This was one of those packs that I got that I showed in a previous video. But really like how bright it is, but I did sort of want to tone it down a little. So I have this whole panel of this crocheted lace work, and I folded a little piece over. So again, it makes a little pocket. It allows the color to come through, but it tones it down just a little bit. More of the same that I used for this. This is actually the part that I didn't need for the cover. I cut that off, but I used it for a pocket, which again kind of brings in that consistency of using it across the piece. And what I actually did was I stitched this as one page, so like that, turned the pocket over, but then I folded it around, and that has made it so that there's this on more than one page. So it's on this page, and then it's again on this page, just to kind of break it up. So another pocket. Now, I had worked on this over the last few weeks. It's a blue bonnet. I really liked it. I had used one like this that I stitched for a cover, but this one, I don't know. I like it just to be this little secret treasure, and it says blue bonnet. I stitched that, and I kind of liked it to be not another square pocket. So this one, you can tuck things in this way. And I thought that building it up with lace behind just makes it interesting. It gives it some texture. So I stitched it to a white piece of fabric just to lay down all my pieces, and I put those underneath to give it some layers. Then we've got this little pocket, a different one from this, but kind of similar in the age, I think, and just the style, but it gives it some variety. I like that one. And I often will stitch it down with something that blends, but sometimes you want a contrasting color, and I thought that was kind of fun. With it's got purple here, it's got the yellow here, and yellow coming around. Now this one, okay, so I had stitched it on a page, and this is how big this piece of fabric was. So I covered that with this little lace, and I just think it provides a fun little design. Also, it'll keep something in there. Again, back to these colors that I used at the beginning. So again, a little bit of repeating the colors. I just really love making woven roses, and I thought they looked fun with some French knots. And then, it doesn't have to be like realistic, so I made blue stems because they're fun. I almost feel like it looks underwater, but I made that little pocket. You know, and again, I added a little square of that so that it peeks out the top, but it doesn't go all the way down. It's just there for fun. Isn't this fun? So I got this little doily recently, and she needed to be featured. And again, I love these colors, but because of the vintage nature of some of it, I didn't know if I wanted a whole page of that. So covering it with a little doily, it mutes it a little bit, but also lets the color pop out. And then I took this same fabric that I used for this. I had a little piece of it, and I went ahead and stitched over it. Now, sometimes I will completely cover a piece with thread painting, but sometimes you just want to highlight some of it. So that's what I did here. Again, it makes a little bit of a pocket. And I just liked how this was going down into the pocket. It was kind of fun. I added one little extra bit of lace because when I close it, this was the end of my cover because I didn't know how many pages I would have when I started. Usually I do a total of 3 signatures, or you could say this whole thing is a signature, but anyway, 3 pages, 3 that are each, you know, have back and front. I find that's a nice size for a fabric journal. And obviously it gives you a whole bunch of pages and a lot of pockets. So that is my Mother's Day fabric journal that I am going to put tomorrow in my little shop. And here's my little Mother's Day pouch. I really love how they both turned out. And yeah, I think they're really cute. So those are going tomorrow into my booth. I think that's all I'm going to show you right now. So quick little video, but I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you are enjoying creating your own little projects. And again, I'd love it if you follow me on Instagram because then I can see what you're creating as well. Have a great creative time. Bye-bye.